Hello everyone, we are Group 2, and we're going to talk about the wonderful world of Southeast Asian literature. So let us know about Southeast Asia first, shall we? Southeast Asia is composed of 11 countries of impressive diversity in religion, culture, and history. And these 11 countries are Brunei. Brunei is a tiny nation on the island of Borneo, in two distinct sections surrounded by Malaysia and the South China Sea. It's known for its beaches and biodiverse rainforest. Much of it is protected within reserves. Most literature in Brunei is either written in Malay or in English. The most popular form of literature there is a poetry style called sajak. The second country on our destination is Burma, also known as Myanmar, is a country in Southeast Asia bordered by the Bay of Bengal and the Andaman Sea. It is famous for its Buddhism and the intriguing mix of British colonial architecture and gilded pagodas. Burmese literature was historically influenced by Indian and Thai cultures. The Burmese language, unlike other Southeast Asian languages, adopted words primarily from Pali rather than from Sanskrit. Cambodia is a Southeast Asian nation whose landscape spans low-lying plains, the Mekong Delta, mountains, and Gulf of Thailand coastline. Phnom Penh, its capital, is home to the Art Deco Central Market, glittering royal palace, and the nation's museum's historical and archaeological exhibits. The classical literature of Cambodia comprises works composed in verse and recorded between the 16th and mid-19th century. Much of it reflects to the cultural influence of India. Oh, Timor-Leste, known as East Timor in foreign countries, is a country located in Southeast Asia. It shares half of the island of Timor with Indonesia. Its capital city is Dili, and the country is ringed by coral reefs, teeming with marine life. Due to the Indonesian, Portuguese, and Dutch influence on the country, which can be seen in the culture, it could be plausible to say that the literature of East Timor could overlap from this culture. The fifth country is Indonesia. Indonesia is the largest country in Southeast Asia. It shares a border with Malaysia in the northern part of Borneo and with Papua New Guinea. The capital, Jakarta, is located near the northwestern coast of Java. In the early 21st century, Indonesia was the most populous country in Southeast Asia. Written literature in Indonesia has been preserved in the various languages of Sumatra, in the languages of Java, in Bali and Lombok, and in the more important languages of South Celebes. Now we're going to Laos. Laos is a Southeast Asian country traversed by the Mekong River and known for mountainous terrain, French colonial architecture, hill tribe settlements, and Buddhist monasteries. Traditionally, literature is held high regard in Lao society. Lao literature spans a wide range of genres. Themes frequently combine the religious and philosophical with secular works and folklore of Lao society. So for our seventh country here, Malaysia. Malaysia is a Southeast Asian country occupying parts of the Malay Peninsula and the island of Borneo. It's known for its beaches, rainforests, and a mix of Malay, Chinese, Indian, and European cultural influences. Malaysian literature was transmitted orally in the absence of writing scripts. Oral literature encompasses a variety of genres of Malay folklore, such as myths, legends, folk tales, romances, epics, poetry, proverbs, origin stories, and oral histories. We're going to our home country, the Philippines. It's an archipelagic country in Southeast Asia. It is situated in the western Pacific Ocean and consists of around 7,641 islands that are broadly categorized into three main geographical divisions: Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Philippine literature is literature associated with the Philippines from prehistory through its colonial legacies and onto the present. Singapore It's the largest port in Southeast Asia and one of the busiest in the world. It owes its growth and prosperity to its focal position at the southern extremity of the Malay Peninsula, where it dominates the Strait of Malacca, which connects the Indian Ocean to the South China Sea. Singaporean literature is a significant focus on Singapore's identity, manifesting both the communality and multicultural richness of Singaporeans as a people. Thailand is a Southeast Asian country. It's known for its tropical beaches, opulent royal palaces, ancient ruins, and ornate temples displaying figures of Buddha. Thai literature portrays the reality of Thailand people's lives, mainly influenced by their cultural beliefs and trends relevant in their society. Stories and poems were mostly about resilience, empathy, and camaraderie among the people of Thailand. And last but not least, Vietnam. Vietnam is a Southeast Asian country known for its beaches, rivers, Buddhist pagodas, and bustling cities. Vietnam's literature was highly expressive and was able to reveal the culture and history of the nation, such as the average crossing of a road in the country and the many Buddhist poems created in the Tran dynasty, reflecting on life and Buddhist tradition.
The development of literature in Southeast Asia involves the influence of religion. The earliest historical influence came from India around the beginnings of the Christian era. At a later period, Buddhism reached mainland Southeast Asia. Its influence was a major source of traditional literature in the Buddhist countries of Southeast Asia. Vietnam under Chinese rule was influenced by Chinese and Indian literature. Indonesia and Malaysia were influenced by Islam and its literature. All of the countries except for Thailand underwent a colonial experience, and each of the countries reflects in its literature and in other aspects of its culture the influence of the colonizing power, including the language of that power. Southeast Asian literature have diaspora as one of its focuses and main theme, which means that the literature of Southeast Asia is mostly about the experiences of people who have lived in other countries aside from their original countries.
In Southeast Asia, literature is not bound by books. Early on, oral traditions, riddles, puns, proverbs, legends, and stories of cosmologies were etched into the minds of listeners. Only later were tales set in the form of stone inscriptions and bas-reliefs. The verses of historical charters or constitutions are often included in a very open definition of literature in Southeast Asia. Poetry had been the most popular form of traditional literature over the centuries but was rigid in form. However, through increased acquaintance with Western poetry, the poets of Southeast Asia broke the bonds of tradition and began to imitate various poetic types.
Southeast Asian literature authors: Pramoedya Anantatoer, Viet Thanh Nguyen, Jose Rizal, Eka Kurniawan, Zung Tu Huong, Amanda Lee Ko, Ratawut Lapcharo Ensak, Shannon Ahmad, The author, Pira Sudham, was born in Napo, Borirom, northeastern Thailand. He spent his childhood in the rice fields on the Korak Plateau, helping his parents and tending a herd of buffaloes. He went to Bangkok at the age of 14 to be a servant to monks in a Buddhist temple, where he was also admitted to a school. To support himself through high school and the first year at the Faculty of Arts, Chulalongkorn University, he sold souvenirs to tourists until he won a New Zealand government scholarship to study English literature at Auckland University and later at Victoria University, Wellington.
His writing began to appear in literary publications in New Zealand, Hong Kong, and the USA before his first book, Siamese Drama, now published under the title of Tales of Thailand, was published in 1983, followed by People of Asarn in 1987. He has lived for over 20 years in New Zealand, Australia, and the UK, where he wrote Monsoon Country and its sequel, The Force of Karma. Both novels have been revised and published under the title of Shadowed Country. Peter Sudham's literary works are concerned with socio-economic political issues. Widely read and highly acclaimed, his books have been given a powerful voice to the proof and the maligned people of Isarn.
This is the summary of the excerpt from Monsoon Country. Bunliang Surin gave birth to her sixth child, a baby boy, in the year of the horse, at the start of the monsoonal rains in their village. They named their child Prem, which means joy. Kumsurin, the father of the newly born child, went to the house of the village headman. He decided to be careful to not remind the man's misfortune, as the headman records the newborn child's information. The headman made good predictions about the newborn child, while Kumsurin, being poor, fumbled for coins in his shirt to give to the headman, thinking that it would be insufficient, though he had a basket of cucumbers in a large gourd to compensate. After leaving the headman's house with his newly born child recorded, Kim Serene felt anxious as the frail little boy hadn't opened its eyes or hardly made any movement or sound. Liang Serene, his wife, was healing in the fireside, saying that there's nothing wrong with the baby. Kiang, the oldest boy, called the baby Tadpole. A few years later, the Tadpole became an extremely quiet and timid boy. Even the people of Napo began to refer him as the mute. The older sister, Piang, was not happy about it, and she put up a fight to defend his little brother from mockery. Kiang could no longer care less if his brother remained a mute all his life, as he sees the little one as a future partner in strength. He did not care what people said, for now he had a brother. While Kiang and Prem are in the rice fields, Kiang decides to teach the tadpole to ride a water buffalo. The little boy is fascinated by the beast, yet he couldn't make it move because he is silent. Kiang was furious and snapped the buffalo's haunch, making Prem fall off. But after the disappointment had gone, he taught the boy again. Then the two rode the buffalo towards Nacho. A lot of years had passed. Prem now became close to the herd of water buffaloes, yet he still wasn't close to speaking, as words do not come easily on his lips. Sometime later, Piang taught the boy about the goddess of rains. The boy saw beauty as he sounded "do." The wind became forceful, and Piang kept praying, expecting her brother to do the same. The wind turned into a storm, stampeding over saplings and rice fields. The rain swept at the fronds under which the children were crouched. The boys took their clothes off, ran, and sang, "Rain, here comes a monsoonal rain, and I've only a handful of grain." When the old headman died, Prem went to his house to see the corpse, and he managed to raise his voice by saying, "No, no, no, afraid." He ran off to join the other boys, yet he was criticized by the girls. But the boys came to rescue, chasing the girls away. How happy they were then, as it marked the beginning of the rainy season. Now that the planting season had started, Prem looked after the animals, and he found himself incredibly fond of one particular buffalo, as he rode it every morning. The boy would rest with the buffalo, finding comfort in silence with an animal who did not have to speak. Yet without any success of putting words in his little brother's mouth, Piang then lost patience to Prem, stating that he's hopeless, and as his sister, she can't stand anybody making fun of her little brother. Prem tried so hard to please her sister, but without any success, he suddenly lost consciousness. The soothsayer had to be called. Then one day, Prem fell into a lotus pond outside the village, yet he was saved from drowning by a bystander. Once again, the soothsayer had to be called. They believed that the spirit wanted the boy's life to make it one of its sons. When Prem recovered, people believed their rumors. The poor boy became lonelier than ever before. Buffaloes still remained to be his source of comfort, and sometimes Kiang would even play with him. The hand-raising was done at the temple ground, and everyone could witness the election of the headman of Napo. For Prem, it was different, as he knew for when a man was bestowed with power, with law by his side, Prem knew that the headman would use it for his own gain. The tadpole had seen how it happened, and when one day Kian asked him to come along on a bird trapping trip in the woods, he was then asked to hide and guard the trap while in the bushes, until Prem heard human voices coming from afar. The boy had seen the man form a circle. As the man gambled, at one point, the headman got up to relieve himself. The headman made its way to the nearby thicket in which the boy was hiding. The headman saw him, but then changed his mind, leaving with his men shortly after the encounter, while Prem was left in the tranquility of the forest.
Formalism is a branch of literary theory and criticism which deals with the structures of text. It means that external agents outside of the text are not taken into consideration. All the things about culture, politics, and the author's intent or societal influences are excluded from formalism. The focus in formalism is only on the text and the contents within the text, such as grammar, syntax, science, literary tropes. Formalism also brings attention to structural tendencies within a text or across text, such as genre and categories. Formalism is based on an analysis of a text rather than a discussion on issues more distant to the text.
The formalist analysis of the excerpt from Monsoon Country. The story was in the shadow of its author, Peer Sudham. There was an extraordinary flow of story, maybe because of the author himself. There were terms and words that were not initially known by people outside Thailand, but the names used were from Thailand. The story was told in the aspect of the third person's point of view, from Kum, Piang, Kiang, and Prem. The story revolved around them, narrating the life of the said characters who played a major role in the life of the main character. The words that can be read in telling the story do not feel dated. It's as new as literary pieces that we have today. Although the story started weak and sentimental, it eventually came out with a brave and courageous ending from the excerpt of the story. I guess this is the end of the road for us. Thank you for listening to this audio-video presentation of the second group in 21st century literature.